These are our lithium batteries. We've had them for over 3 years, going on 4 years, and today I want to answer 4 of the big questions that are out there. Number 1, what is the capacity after having them for multiple years? Do they still hold up? Number 2, have we had any problems? Number 3, what would I change if I was purchasing today, which I think is a really big one. And number 4, what do I need to change in my setup currently? Because I do need to make some changes in here, so that's what we're talking about today. And talking about, is lithium all that it's been cracked up to be? So to start off, I should probably fill you in on what we have, because obviously you can see the stickers did not last that identified these batteries. So these are the Lion Energy Safari 1300. So that's a 105 amp hour battery, and it's a 12 volt battery. And we only have 3 of them. We haven't had a huge battery bank, but these have moved with us, so we've had them for a while. These stickers were peeling off, and I kind of made the situation worse. I didn't want them to peel off more, so I put a little glue behind in there. And then the stickers eventually just fully came off. And the only places that were still stuck to the white part behind it is the parts that I glued. So hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. Now, the first change that I have on our plan is, and I always recommend having a plan. Having a diagram that you can follow and having it planned out is going to be way better than just winging it. So I always try and have all of our diagrams just like this one. I'll have a link down in the description to the diagram so you can reference it, design your own system, but it's definitely the way to go rather than just winging it. But I do need to add some cooling to this front bay. It's something that I probably should have done from the beginning, but it does sometimes get warm in here, especially when we're charging up the batteries fast. So when that multi-plus is sending to the batteries everything that it can, that does generate a little bit of heat coming from the multi-plus into this compartment. And so when that's happened, I've usually opened this up, but I'd like it to be a little bit more automated so that those batteries are more comfortable inside of this bay and we don't get it too warm for really all the equipment inside of here. So I'm going to be setting up a fan. So I want to get this fan installed before we do the capacity test to see how this handles the heat in here from doing that test. And so I should mention that this compartment is not temperature controlled. It is not in the conditioned space. And oftentimes people will put their batteries in there, and it has worked well in this compartment. It's better than putting it in a battery box on the front of a travel trailer where it really doesn't have much protection at all. In here with the equipment, it's been able to stay warm in low temperature situations because you can't charge these at low temperatures. It does have low temperature charge protection, which is fantastic, but we've never even gotten to that position where it's not able to accept a charge because of it being too cold. Now, a lot of people will put these in conditioned space inside of the RV so that they're comfortable. They say if you're comfortable, your battery is going to be comfortable. It's kind of the optimal temperature range for them to be able to work in. So let's get to the test. I want to see how much capacity is in these batteries. I want to see if they're failing. You know, we've always been told at 10 years, you still have 80% of the battery life. I want to see where we're at on that scale, and is that holding true? Are they not holding as much capacity, and are they failing, or are they doing well? So you can see that I actually made some changes in here when I went to go install the fan. I didn't want to just add to the mess that I had. We'll get to some of these changes later, but let's get to the test and see how these do for capacity. So I actually ran this test twice because I wanted to be very thorough. The first time I did the test, we used our inverter, and I went until it said that it was going to shut everything down. And so that was 296.8 amp hours using our inverter. But then I wanted to make sure that I was thoroughly doing the test and brought the batteries all the way down to 0 to see what they would yield. And so that was 298 amp hours. So again, we're on a 12 volt system. So that is 17 amp hours short of what they were when they were brand new. So in my mind, that is a definite pass for where they should be at, because that's like a 5.4% reduction in capacity. And if you're looking at 10 years and you have 20% less, it's on track to be doing better than that 20% that's kind of promised, or what's mentioned out there is what to expect when you get to the end of those 10 years. So it's over delivering on what it originally said. So are these batteries failing? No, they're actually doing better than expected. But with that said, I don't know that this would be the battery that I would purchase if I was building a system today for what I wanted. So we'll get more to that in a minute. Let's go over some of the changes that I made in here before we did the test, because it really helped me to consolidate. And if I was building a system today, these are the components that I would be building it with. So that's one of the facets of this video, is kind of updating the build of what I would do on an RV, kind of my recommendations, and have a new build layout to the new equipment that's in here. So first off, we have the Lynx distributor. I used to think that this was pretty expensive for a couple of bus bars, but it actually does so much more than that. And when you price out trying to get all the fuses and connectors and wires and everything to make what happens inside this Lynx distributor happen, this actually pencils out to be really similar to what the other would cost. And this is so much cleaner and so much more compact, which I definitely needed compact. And with that, I ordered all this through RV Solar Connection. So when I purchased it through him, he gave me a few recommendations, which I'm gonna put a link down in the description to RV Solar Connection because they do a fantastic job. And I never felt like they've tried to over recommend or try and get me to spend more like I've had with other companies in the past. So I highly recommend RV Solar Connection. So all the battery recommendations and everything that we're talking about, it's going to be down in the description below and in that first comment. But one thing that he did recommend, especially because I was trying to consolidate as much space as I could, is this battery shutoff. I was already using the Smart Shunt. I had that, but he had a new plate that he just designed. I think this is one of the first ones that came out, and it kind of groups everything together. And the shutoff, I was kind of excited about it because the way that it mounts in there, it doesn't mount backwards like the other ones that you have to kind of disassemble everything to get to it. This one, you can put it back on the base plate. You can put the links on top of it. It all nestles in together really nice. And that back plate works well because it's at different levels. And so I couldn't quite set it up this compact if I didn't have that. It makes everything plane out perfectly for the bus bars and everything that needs connect together. So that was definitely a benefit of what I was able to install here. So you can see that in the diagram. Everything just lays out really nicely and goes into here. I think the install came out really clean too. It looks way more professional, a lot better than the spaghetti mess that I had coming out of my other bus bars that we had before. And the amount of things that I do to be able to test and always checking out new equipment and trying new things to be able to share here is one of those things. But this allows me to have that so much more organized, clean, and not so chaotic. Like before, I had a solar charge controller mounted up here temporarily, which I highly would not recommend. But now that I have more space along this back wall, I have room for that extra charge controller. I run two because we'll often test other systems, and being able to pull and partition that solar out gives me the ability to do that and pass on that information. So if you already had a system set up and it was working fine, would I recommend doing these changes that I did here in the back? No, I wouldn't. If your system's working, then I wouldn't do it. It would be a waste. But if you're designing a system from the beginning, or you need to make more space because you're adding another piece of equipment, then I would highly recommend going this direction. I'm extremely satisfied with the small little upgrade that we did on this. But as a battery recommendation, what would I do if I was building a system today? If I was building a small system where I just wanted to have like a 3,000 watt, really simple inverter and have two batteries, I was just trying to keep the cost extremely as low as I possibly could, I would probably still go with these Lion Energy. They put out 150 amps continuous all at once. So you get two of those, you can run a 3,000 watt inverter. But for me, personally, right now, I would like to build a system that's a little bit bigger if I could have. I wish I could do like a 400, 500 amp hour system in here, and I think I can do that in a similar footprint inside these batteries, just a little bit bigger than that. And I think I would probably go with an Enduro battery. So when I'm looking at batteries, they kind of land in different categories for me. So there's some great companies that are out there, and there are some really cheap batteries out there that are available. And so for me, I look at Battleborn, I look at Lion Energy, and I look at Enduro batteries. Those are three American companies, not that the batteries are necessarily made in America, but those are three American companies that I kind of like to be able to support. Battleborn's at the top of the price range. Lion Energy is not far behind them, but you can buy fewer batteries if you're trying to keep the cost down to operate bigger equipment. And Enduro batteries is gonna save you money if you're wanting a bigger battery bank and have great performance. So for me, wanting to build a bigger battery bank and wanting to stick with an American company, then that's kind of where I would land, is with Enduro batteries. I think they got a great product there. Again, again, links down in the description to all the different batteries that we're talking about today. Now, there's a lot of batteries that are from overseas companies, and sometimes I get a little worried about making a recommendation on there. Sure, it'd be great to build a huge battery bank for even half the price of what we've been talking about so far. But the problem that I have in making that recommendation, and again, there's going to be people that have bought those batteries and have had great experiences. My problem is I've seen often that those companies will, when they have a problem, they'll shut that one company down or change names. And what's that do to the batteries that have been bought in the past? Or they'll go from using A cells and now using B cells, so the battery life may not be as good for as long. Now, the one from overseas that I've seen continuously over the years do pretty good is SOK. So SOK is probably the one that I would do if I was looking for an overseas battery and trying to find the best budget price that you can out there. But I also like supporting an American company, and Enduro Batteries is pretty darn close to that price. So it really comes down to what fits for your situation. Now, there's way more that I could talk about batteries, and we'll talk about that in more future videos and upcoming months, and maybe 24-volt systems, multi-inverter systems, all that's going to be coming, but that's kind of the condensed version. But are these batteries failing? No, they're actually doing better than I expected, which is a good thing. Have I had any problems with the batteries? I haven't had any problems at all. The high temperature, the low temperature, we haven't had issues. And lithium oftentimes will get a bad rap for not being good in the cold, and true, you should not charge them in the cold. These have low temperature charge protection, and we've never even had to trip that low temperature charge protection. We've never had that problem. But I don't think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that lead acid batteries shouldn't freeze also when they're discharged. Let me show you something. This is what can happen if you have a discharged lead acid battery and you let it freeze, is they can expand and they can get ruined. So cold weather can be bad for either type of battery. But I don't say that to try and scare you one way or another. Each RVer is going to be different, so I don't like the idea of trying to shame people into everybody should have lithium. If you go to campgrounds often and a lead acid battery works in your situation, then use the lead acid battery. Or there are some people that only want to use lead acid batteries and think that all lithiums are a ripoff and a fire hazard, which isn't true on that end of the spectrum either. So I always say, get the tool that fits the job for how you want to RV. Don't get shamed or feel less than for the equipment that works for how you like to RV. That's the bottom line. So as far as all the things that we wanted to change, all that is going to be in the diagram. You can see how it just consolidated everything that we needed here, cleaned everything up, and I think it's just going to be better in the future. And now I'm not so ashamed of everything that it's seen back here. It just looks way more clean, way more professional, and I like the way that turned out. But I think it's a good thing that I like working on projects, because if it's not this project, I always got another project to be able to work on next week. So anyways, I think that's going to do it for today. If you guys like this video, if it helped you out in any way, some of the free diagrams, any of the resources that I'm able to pass along to you, I hope some of it helps you out. So if it did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.